Today's episode, Fill the Minute, the neuroscience of living your best life. Take a moment to listen to it twice, maybe. Welcome home, my leadership friends. This is the Beau Leadership Group Podcast, where leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. And today I want to ask you a question precious to your life. What are you doing with your minute? When I first did leadership training 2005, we memorized something. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the world and all that's in it. And what is more, you'll be a man, my son. Could be a woman too, of course. But what's going on with you? Is it not your year, not your 5-year plan, not your vision board with the yacht and all the stuff you printed off of Google or from magazines? Your minute. This is from that line in the Rudyard Kipling poem that I was just talking about. And it's stayed with me, and my grandfather read it years and years ago and decades before. And I found that out later. And I found out that people I love also had a version of it framed in their house. If you can fill that unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, what would that mean for you? The punchline is pretty hard, right? Because a life made of minutes that are really run well and run hard, that adds up. Not decades, minutes. Think about it. If you waste enough minutes, pretty soon you wake up and your knees hurt, your passwords are all wrong, and your doctor says words like mobility. Then there's that famous line from Marianne Williamson, your playing small does not serve the world. That's leadership too. Playing small helps no one. A friend of mine, not a very close friend of mine, but very close friend of my family, died last week. And she was awesome. She was a captain, airline captain. She flew all over the world, went all over the world. She had a really cool van before people had cool Sprinter vans set up for overland. And she went overland, and she stayed a captain after 9/11 and carried a handgun in the cockpit. And she wasn't very big, but she didn't play small. She was big. She was all over the world. She had this enviable spirit where she could go places and do things. Unfortunately, cancer took her too young. But the point, playing small helps nobody. And I was listening to Dave Chappelle the other day, and he was talking about, actually just yesterday, and he was talking about how people are afraid of speaking, which everyone knows that speaking, and we've talked about communications as part of the clear idea of leadership, communications, leadership, equipping others, attitudes, and relationships, communications. Number one, if you're afraid of public speaking, that's bad. But think about it. If you are not communicating, is it because you're fearful of what other people think? Dave Chappelle's point was he thinks people are fearful more so of what other people think than public speaking, because public speaking is just speaking. Think about it now. Playing small and speaking, not speaking up to make the world a better place, that doesn't help you. Think about it. It's not good for your family, your business, nor your team to play small, and certainly not for your purpose. Wayne Dyer is a favorite of mine. He talks about be miserable or motivate yourself. Whatever has to be done, it's always your choice. That's tough love, right? It's up to us. And I used to share these things with my children, which I'm not sure was the best tough love. I needed support and structure and foundational things and probably more leadership, more wisdom than I gave them. But there's still time. I hope to give them some. And neuroscience is agreeing with us. Here's your new concept for today. Your brain does not reward comfort, it rewards engagement. And so make it sticky, because that's the science. When you challenge yourself, learning, building, selling, leading, failing, and failing forward, of course, your brain releases dopamine, which rewards you to do more. It's not the cheap dopamine from scrolling on social media and looking at people who are six-pack abs and have a beach house and, you know, the dream car, dream boat, but real dopamine, earned dopamine, and your brain produces BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factor. Say that 10 times fast. That's the fertilizer for your brain. That's the miracle grow for your brain. It literally helps your neurons grow. Think of it like Miracle Grow for your mind, except don't drink Miracle Grow. The point is this: effort builds the brain, passive living weakens it. That unforgiving minute, if you let it go by, right? And here's the practical tool for today. I call it the 60-second rule. Before you waste a minute, ask, what could I do right now that future me would be thankful for? One call, one page, one prayer, one walk, one hard conversation, one deal, one apology, one push up, one less donut. Now, if you think about it, we don't make that many decisions in a year. These were big ideas and big decisions, potentially making a big deal could be a life changing thing that you can do in a minute. And that's leadership of yourself and leadership of others when you have resources. Again, tiny decisions create massive lives. So now let's flip this, because some of you are grinders and strivers, and the grinders can make a mistake thinking that every minute must be productive. Wrong. Some of you and your best leadership ideas happen when doing nothing. And think about what God told us in the ancient scripture: be still and know I'm God. That being still part is important. And that's, some people say, why you get ideas in the shower. I also wonder how much connection you get extra from the whatever happens when the water is touching you. But you can get it on a walk, which is doing nothing, meditative, right? You can have a meditative walk. Some people get it fishing, some people get it driving, some people get it pulling weeds, or pretending to listen to a meeting while you're having your best idea. That's happened to some of us, right? Your brain's default mode network, it has a real neurological system. And when your conscious brain relaxes, your deeper brain starts connecting dots. And that's what that BDNF helps us to do too. And that's why Jesus often withdrew to lonely places, I'm told. It's not because he was avoiding work, but because solitude sharpens purpose. And in Psalm 46:10, that's where they say, be still and know that I am God. So that's not laziness, that's alignment. And if God himself built stillness into the system, maybe stillness isn't weakness. Maybe it's strategy. But here's the danger. Modern life is stealing your stillness and your minutes. Your phone buzzes and you don't even go look at what buzzes because the social media grabs you, and then minute by minute your time goes by. Your watch buzzes, your email buzzes, your refrigerator probably is 6 months away from buzzing. According to people, actually, in the 90s, they said that we'd have smart refrigerators, but I don't have one. And because of that idea that you'll never be bored and things will help you have excitement, and in the modern world, the phone just hijacks our amygdala. And what we're learning is boredom is important. Meditation is boredom is where creativity is born. And creativity is divine, in my opinion. Boredom is where reflection lives. Boredom is where your future gets stitched together. If you fill every quiet second with noise, you rob yourself of wisdom that you can have about you and your life and how you can impact the world and have influence and be a real leader. So now here's the serious part, because leadership also means stewardship. What you put in your brain matters. Again, research shows chronic marijuana use, especially young and frequent use, can impair memory. And that feels like you're doing nothing, but you may be impairing your memory, motivation, and executive decision making. And that matters. And that's something I wish that kids would learn today, because it's all legal, right? At least we had the illegality to both entice us to try it. It was hard to continue to do it so easily and let it hijack you like it does some now. And this is important because the prefrontal cortex is leadership headquarters, and it doesn't develop until your late 20s. And it takes a hiatus for as long as you're over drinking and over smoking. Your leadership headquarters might be dormant, and you're filling the unforgiving minute with things that aren't helping you. So decision making is done cleanly in boredom. Impulse control, discipline, vision, all these things. You can't build an extraordinary life while chemically altering and negotiating against your best machinery in your head. That's not judgment. And it's not always fun to do these hard things that create the dopamine and the BDNF. but it's stewardship of your mind. And the Holy Bible says in 12:2, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, not numbing, rewiring, maybe listening to the sounds of waves at the beach, building, sharpening, growing, perhaps a sauna, hot tub. These things don't impact your brain chemistry in a bad way, they do it in a good way. And if you ignore the challenge, if you stagnate, if you ignore stillness, the other problem is you don't fill your bucket and you can burn out. If you ignore brain health, your leadership declines. That's why this matters. And leadership matters because influence happens through people like us. And I didn't invent a lot of this thinking, but I'm not a perfect person. We're not perfect. We're people. So here's your equation: best life equals intentional action plus mental space plus brain health. And you miss one, and the machine wobbles. Again, without stillness, burnout. Stillness without action, excuses. Bad brain inputs, bad life outputs. It's that simple. And remember, what you focus on is what you get. So focus on your best life ever. And we have a boat in the family called Best Life Ever, but we borrowed that name from a neuroscientist who was a pediatric neuroscientist. And that's important because I don't think he just happened on the idea. Here's a brain scientist, brain smart guy, and he has on the back of his boat Best Life Ever. It's a great name. It's a great thought. It's a great thing to focus on. You don't want to focus on your worst life ever, yet people do it and you hear them talking about it when you walk around in the world. So don't do that. Focus on your best life ever. God did not make giraffes, mountains, laughter, and barbecue ribs so you could spend your life angry in traffic. Life should be fun, meaningful, joyful, purposeful, and sometimes ridiculous because it's hard to stay purposeful all the time. Like putting on reading glasses to find the reading glasses on your head. That's adulthood. Anyway, leadership isn't becoming serious necessarily. Humor can break things up. It's about becoming intentional and fill in the minute. Protect your mind. Challenge yourself. Sit in silence sometimes. Read the Bible, maybe. Proverbs, Psalms. Laugh often, lead boldly, and stop playing small because the world needs a version of you that God designed, and that purpose in you, it's in you. I know it is. Not the distracted version, not the fearful version that won't speak up, speak out, the full strength version of you. Empower your leadership and elevate your image with God in mind. Bless your week.